Taylor, business coach here in North Georgia. So glad to have you with us for another conversation in our treehouse here or outdoor with my good friend Teressa Ruspi. And we're going to have a great conversation. I do want to remind those who are joining today of a couple of our sponsors. One is Action Coach. We are a business coaching firm that helps businesses to grow, scale, create revenue, and create that business that's commercial and profitable and works without you. And so if you are interested in talking about scaling your business, please give me a call. Our other sponsor is Fist Bump, who produces this show. Could not happen without them. They are that LinkedIn go-to to make you the expert in your field on LinkedIn, and they would love to work with anybody to elevate your presence and get your clients to actually come to you rather than you having to go to them. So check out Fist Bump and do that. So we have the business aside. I am so happy to have Teressa with me today. Teressa Ruspi is in a number of things. We actually got to know each other 2-3 years ago when you were working for a charity that I had an interest in and did some work with a mission, an orphanage in Kenya.
Yes.
That is just a great thing, and was glad to connect with you at that time. And we just were in Rotary together, and just
so many great things.
So many great things. There's so many great things here in Alpharetta coming
really.
That we get to be a part of. But I start every show with asking folks, when you were 5, 6, 10 years old, when you were a kid, what was your treehouse? Where did you go to just dream big and think about how you were going to conquer the world?
Yeah, I mean, it couldn't be more ironic or connecting than actually in a treehouse that I had.
Yes. All right.
But there was no wood around it. It was a pretend tree house. But I literally would climb up this tree across the driveway from my house growing up. There was a big tree. It's not there any longer, but I know the exact spot. And there was all these big branches. And kind of me, my sister, and my brother, we had our little spots up there. And after school, we would climb this tree and just kind of stake out. I would actually bring my backpack and do my homework up there sometimes. I would bring like a journal and just kind of write. Or I used to like to draw. And I would just draw some random things. It'd be like maybe another tree or, some outdoor setting. And I kind of just would sit there. But it was that high up view. And just I felt so free. And isolated and just alone in my thoughts. And I loved it. That's
awesome. That's awesome. And where was that? Because very few people that I run into actually grew up here in Georgia. A few, but
it's true. So that was actually in Einan, Pennsylvania. So a very small town outside of Scranton, Pennsylvania, which more people may have heard of. So it was up there, born and raised in Scranton, Pennsylvania, right outside, and moved to Philadelphia for a couple of years, then journeyed down to North Carolina, and here I am in Georgia for the last 17 years.
Very good. Well, and I know a little bit about your trip into Philadelphia.
Yes.
People may be a little bit interested in what you did in Philadelphia.
Yes, it was a lot of fun. And they may be interested a little bit more given the last year's football season.
Let's not talk about that. But go ahead.
We may get kicked off the show already.
No. Not at all.
Mike.
Not at all. We're as long as you don't say anything bad about the Steelers, we'll be okay.
Okay, fine.
That'll be fine.
So growing up, going to school for nutrition and dietetics at Marywood University in Scranton. Family's big Philadelphia Eagles fans. And they were hosting tryouts that year in 2005. I was in my junior year of college up in Scranton. Decided just to head down to Philly and try out for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I made the season as a 2005 Philadelphia Eagles cheerleader and cheered for 2 seasons. So that brought me into Philadelphia and got to be part of that journey, which was amazing, and met some lifelong friends. So much fun.
What fun.
Yeah. So that was a time, great experience, and something that kind of really supported my whole journey, I'd say, down the road that I never really thought of. Being a cheerleader, being in front of crowds, speaking opportunities. My daughters are cheerleaders. My one is a very high level cheerleader as well. Being on that stage and putting everything out there, sometimes messing up and having to pick back up, like nothing happened, it taught me so many life lessons that I will, forever be grateful for.
I think how you were talking about the treehouse where you're kind of above everything and kind of be able to be isolated in yourself, and then going to a very public, because the cheerleaders are very much public figures.
Yeah, for sure.
You probably couldn't go anywhere in Philadelphia without someone recognizing you.
No, you kind of could go in disguise and things like that, but when you're out there, you're out there, and it allowed me to, I guess, take that inner part of that isolation that I was always to myself and maybe in thought, and really express myself and be able to share it and have that opportunity to find myself and what it is I love and what I wanted to do. And it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah. That's great. And one of the cool things of living around here is there are so many interesting people like yourself who have done these things that a lot of people see on TV or otherwise, but we associate with a lot of folks who have been in, the sporting industry or the entertainment industry or are even currently. And so it's really cool it's
a lot of fun. It is. You always learn something new or find something, exciting, and sharing stories is always fun.
Yeah. But you were there for 2 years.
Yep. I was there for 2 years.
And then moved south.
Yep. Then moved south, got married and started our family. So brought us to North Carolina for a few years, and then career opportunities brought us to Georgia. And my family's still back in Pennsylvania. My twin sister and parents and aunts and uncles and cousins. So I'm there visiting a lot. And the work that I do with my nonprofit, it's also back in Pennsylvania as well, in addition to Georgia, which we'll talk about in a minute. But so I get to go back and forth a lot and visit family and have my roots still very connected into my community up there. So it's hard to say what's home sometimes, right? Because I still have such deep roots home in Pennsylvania, but then Georgia's become my home and planted roots here, not just because my daughters are here, but what I've done in work in the community, it's home and the families we're supporting and helping. So I really love the idea that I have 2 homes and could cover the East Coast, so to say.
Yeah. Well, and I do want folks to know that we're going to deal with some sensitive subjects today, because what you do is always not the most comfortable thing to talk about.
Sure.
But we're comfortable talking about it. And I think people need to hear about it. And so you mentioned your nonprofit. And so tell us a little bit about your nonprofit and the history of that.
Yeah. So, I can sit here today now 14 years later and never thought I'd be running a nonprofit organization or start a nonprofit organization, but life happens and takes some crazy twists and turns, and you just kind of have to go with the flow sometimes. And that's where my natural flow was taking me at the time, and my need to do more. So, unfortunately I had lost my brother to suicide back in 2011. And that really just changed my entire life, like it would anyone's life. And it was very unexpected and very eye-opening. So obviously shocking to myself and my family. But that shock to me, I think, went really deep to the core, and I wanted to know more. Obviously, I would have so many unanswered questions from my brother. So you kind of have to learn and discover and kind of just make some assumptions and real life, kind of guesses and put it all together, and you can start pinpointing things and it starts connecting the dots and you realize really quickly that this was so preventable and the untreated, undiagnosed mental health conditions that my brother was dealing with were more than we ever imagined because he didn't talk about it. He was afraid, a little bit more prideful, young man, 26 years old. Think about back when you were 26, right? Sharing some things, being a leader, trying to find yourself, right? Establish yourself, and you have something weighing you down that, you're looked up to in small town, right? And no, you don't have mental health. What's depression? Suck it up, move on. The typical standards that men really are pressured with to really excel on certain things. But sometimes certain mental health issues can hold us back,
Yes.
anyone back.
Absolutely.
And it's okay because life happens.
Yeah.
And I like to say too, it kind of comes in cycles. You know, we think about something that happened in our life. You get through it and it's like, oh, remember when that happens?
Yeah.
And it's kind of in the past. You have to get through it. And there's light at the end of the tunnel. Sometimes when things become too overbearing for some people, or they're too far deep, they didn't get that early prevention help. They just don't think there's no way out.
It's hopeless.
It's hopeless. And sometimes decisions are made in the spur of the moment. And unfortunately, they're irreversible. So of course that crushes me every single day to think, what if, right? What if this, what if you made this decision? And I stopped asking myself, what if I did more? What if I can do this? You know, what else? There's nothing really I could have done. You know, at the end of the day, we have to take responsibility of our own lives and our own health and decisions we make. So I'm in a position where I'd love to share now, you know, hey, you know, how can we help make you make a better decision? You know, when you get in a situation that life seems so hard and give up and you may think suicide is the answer because life is just so hard sometimes. You know, what else can we do? Who else can you reach out to? Can you pause? You know, they say, go to bed, sleep on it. Pick it up tomorrow. There's so much truth in that. There's so much truth in that because imagine if he didn't make that decision that night and he woke up the next day, it would have been like, what did I think about doing last night?
Well, and I don't know if you know, my coaching, you know, born out of that pastoral experience I had long ago, and the values of welcome, nurture, share, and celebrate, right? And the whole idea of welcoming is people coming into this relationship from whatever, you know, and I think in terms of the suicide rate among small business owners is so high. You know, it's crazy because they have so much pressure and they have so much, you know, it's not just their own issues, but it's their family. If they have employees, they're worried about their employees and their employees' families, and they're carrying the weight. And
it's a lot.
And as a result of it, far too many get in this situation where they just feel like this is the best thing I can do.
Yeah, and you're so right about that. We've expanded besides educating schools, you know, 78,000 middle school and high school students.
78,000.
Yeah, 78,000 over the past 14 years. It's been incredible, absolutely incredible. And that's what makes me so happy and why turning pain into passion means so much to me. And realizing that we've got approached by corporate different companies. I mean, in 2 weeks from now, we're speaking to some executives at Pepsi Cola.
Awesome.
Yeah. So Pepsi, we're reaching, you know, having general conversations because work, life, wellness, and that balance between work and life, like you just mentioned, there's so much pressure. But being yourself 100% all the time is really hard. So let alone you're trying to be 100% at home, right? When you get home after a busy day, you're trying to give 110% at work. Fill all your duties and responsibilities, and your people are just spread too thin. And the economy is crazy, and things are all over the place. So how much can people take? And we have to know when we need to put that pause button, take a break. Are we focusing on our physical and mental health first so we can give 110%? And I read this really cool thing the other day. It was like, if today I can give 40%, I'm going to give 40%, and I'm giving 100% of what I got. So if all you have is 40% and you're giving 40%, then you know what? Today's a good day. That's it. Just do what you can.
So you quickly mentioned your foundation, but I want people to actually hear what it is. So your foundation is
the LRJ Foundation, which stands for Lou Ruspi Jr., which is my brother's initials. So LRJ Foundation is a mental health and wellness education organization that we go into schools and we do mental health and wellness education program trainings with students, with teachers, with parents, and expanded into corporate. So we work with the city of Milton, for example. We partner with them every year, September and October, for World Suicide Prevention Month and Week. And every week we have educational posts that go out to the community. What I'm so proud about a city taking on a movement like this is that they've created a tab on their website called Mental Wellness. So their patrons in the town and beyond that can go there and find previous webinars, educational information, local resources. And I love that cities get involved in this because you're talking about impacting the lives of thousands, tens of thousands of people. So for us to have the opportunity to connect outside of just a school district to a community and really bring in full circle of that's really the school climate. When we talk about working with the school, it's the climate of the school is top down from administrators down to the students, to the parents who go out to the community. And it's really what we found to be the place that we can get to every single child. Their teachers are working very hard every single day, teaching our kids a lot and going through a lot. So we want to support our teachers as well. But sometimes it's nice having a third party organization. You remember as a kid, we had a speaker come in. It's fun. We go to the auditorium. We make these presentations fun. We want mental health to be fun and realizing that taking care of ourselves.
Which seems like a oxymoron. But
And you know what? It is, and just the positive spirit I bring and the excitement, our mental health professionals bring to the organization and just the vibe of LRJ Foundation has always been that. So we partner with local mental health professionals, licensed therapists that do this work every single day. So we contract out to them. So if we pop into any town, we can come up to Canton, Blue Ridge, Woodstock. And if a school is interested in our work, of course, we'll travel with some of our therapists as well, but we can find a local therapist in the area, someone that's really great, partner with them, who's credentialed, who's experienced, who's knowledgeable, who can really give the answers and support and questions from expert information and give a great presentation. We bring kids on stage, we're doing fun activities, they're laughing, we have games, we have music playing, videos, we change it up to keep everyone engaged. Our motto is better than yesterday. So with that, like thinking about coaching and working with athletes, right? What is it you're doing today that you can be doing 1% better than yesterday? It's just those small movements, small changes. So we really want to come in as an organization and really make these small habit changes. And which could have huge impact for just life down the road. And if we can get that in early, what are their study habits? Are they procrastinating? Are they slacking off? Or are they putting things off? How is that pressuring yourself, mental health? How is that affecting your grades, adding more stress to your plate? So that's just one small example of how working on our mental health can really be impactful because it could change your academic course. And then free up your time down the road. So our work in schools is crucial. We've been finding schools really jumping in on board to make mental health a priority because they realize it's not just about our mental health support. Like this impacts the whole child and their well-being from when they walk in this door till they go home.
Well, and not just a child, but you think about the ripple effects, that they go home. If they don't have the pressure that they're feeling, being a parent, if my kids aren't pressured, it takes pressure off of me, but having that pressure, and because we see it as parents, whether we want to or not, and we try and make it better, but we don't necessarily know how.
It's hard because sometimes our kids don't want to listen to us, right? And they'll take advice from other people.
Most of the time, they don't want to listen to us. But at least my kids.
If I told your daughter the same thing you said in different words, we'd probably get along really well. But it's like, told you that, and this is how it goes. So too, we're finding that even our counselors, working with a school district in May in Pennsylvania, and they have counselors that do great things. They do mental health education awareness as well, but they want to bring in a third party organization to reinforce some of these things, bring a different angle. Everyone has a different teaching type method, in business and things like that, and just the way they operate, that we can bring something else in different and maybe reach kids at a different perspective. And they want to hear something different from somebody else. It changes up kind of the vibe and the mode of it. And then these counselors get support as well. Let's take some pressures off the teachers and counselors as well too, because this is tough subjects. This is, very particular. So we want to be able to support these teachers and say, hey, you guys sit back for this class and we got you.
Well, and I don't want to get controversial, but I've read so many studies that particularly teenage girls over the last 5 years with social media, the suicide rate is just skyrocketing with teenage
Yeah.
girls.
I mean, it's scary. It really is scary. And I think we're just in this time, like, we could see, like, I have 3 teenage daughters, right? And it's a lot of validation,
Yeah.
right? They're seeking validation from the wrong places.
Yeah.
And if they're not getting it, or how many likes I'm getting, how many comments I'm
Yeah.
getting, right? I'm not good enough.
Yeah. And people can just be nasty
Nasty.
because they're not right in front of you.
Yeah.
There's this screen separating them, so they feel
All of a sudden you have
at
muscles on the
liberty to
keyboard,
say
right?
anything
Yeah.
they want to,
Right.
and no repercussion.
No, and that's actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's some of the points we've added into our educational presentations is a segment on social media.
Yeah.
And the pros and cons of it. There, we can use social media for many great things, like
Yeah.
we are today.
Yeah.
Right? We're
Yeah.
sharing on our social networks
Yes.
to get great information out there that someone can use and pick up, connect to you, connect to me, and use it for the
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
But why do we use social media as negative sometimes? And we teach our kids how this can go wrong, even safety reasons, right?
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
people reaching out that catfish, they're not who they are, and getting them in safety, concerns where they're trying to meet people certain places. And education is everything. We say education is prevention, and just letting everyone know that they truly have so much worth inside, and someone's words, don't impact who they are. And they have to learn to kind of put that behind and stick to their values and core values and who they are as people. But we've seen that a lot with girls, say guys, the same things. But I think females, there's something with the validation. And then you have these muscles behind the keyboard, thrown in there. And when they get face to face, they can have a conversation. But they'll go, we didn't have to deal with that growing up.
Yeah.
You leave
Oh my
school
gosh.
and it's over. The next day, it's another issue, right?
Yeah.
Yours is forgotten about.
Well, yeah. When I was growing up,
Yeah.
we didn't have social media.
I
We had out back of the school, and we just like fisted
Fought
it
it out.
out,
Yes.
fought it out. And,
Meet at the
you know,
swings at 3:30 p.m.
yeah, yeah, oh yeah. There was not every day, but I mean, I grew up in a small town.
Yeah.
Fight, and we would fight it out and duke it out, and the next day we were like best friends.
Yeah.
It was just
Yeah, girls
you got
sometimes,
it
yeah.
and it was over, right?
I think too is, one of the components we teach too a lot is on kindness and empathy
Yeah.
and sympathy and things like that, and having empathy towards others,
Yeah.
giving grace and understanding, and just showing kindness and realizing that you don't know what someone's going through. So when they go home that day and you think it's cool because it makes you feel better to, bully someone that day and come down on them because you want to, be cool to your friend group,
Yeah.
you have no idea what that person's going through and maybe what they're going home to. And you just made it 10 times worse. And that person made a bad decision. It's all teaching our youth these days, and even adults. There's adult bullying and things like that
Oh,
too,
yeah.
and workplace harassment that,
Yeah.
we've experienced over the years, that we have to come back to a place of kindness
Mhm.
and understanding,
Yeah.
and just being there for each other.
Yeah.
We really have to support each other more and understand, agree to disagree type
Yeah.
things. I not appreciate what you're saying or agree with what you're saying, but we don't have to come at each other. We don't have to put someone else down.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
with this world and the way we come to each other really just needs to start changing.
Yeah. I was
Really
having
does.
a conversation with one of my clients this week, and it's kind of fits is we approach things in a very myopic way, right? We see things only
I
from
do.
our perspective, and it is very hard to get out of our perspective and
Mhm.
see how somebody else is approaching
It
something.
is.
But when we are able to do that, it's the old adage, walk in somebody else's
Yes.
shoes for a mile or whatever.
Yeah,
And it's easier said than done,
sure.
because truly understanding, this person, this is how they woke up this morning. This is what they walked out of their house with. This is the pressure that they're feeling from whatever. We don't ever get to that level. We just process things
Yeah.
by our own feelings, our own fears, our own stuff, and react to people.
We do. And that's, part of a big component of ours is like that social emotional learning piece,
Mhm.
that emotional intelligence. There's a certain, bandwidth that we have and a certain age where youth development is still happening in the
Yeah,
brain. It's
yeah.
still absorbing so much and growing and learning that you kind of miss things for a while and you're still really focusing on yourself and everything is me, right? So what's in the best interest for me?
Yeah.
And that's normal. But to have our kids hear these things, you learn things, I'm not going to just pick up Spanish randomly because I heard it on the radio one day or a Spanish music playing. If you are educated on it, if you're presented to it, if it's in your face, if things are thrown at you, if you have signs at school that are giving you different messaging, tips here and there.
Yeah.
If you're surrounded with it, it's going to become a part of who you are.
Yeah.
So that's why we work with a lot of these schools. It's given this messaging reoccurring times. The shirts that we just had made last year for our event says mindset matters.
Yeah.
And we're talking about a mindset. Like this truly is like emotional intelligence, social emotional learning. Like it's truly a mindset. And we have to really submerge ourselves in the emotional intelligence capabilities because that will give us so much down the road. But at a young age is hard because kids are really just trying to find out who they are, fit in. So everything is me. Yeah. They don't realize how much impact and hurt that can do to others. Yeah. And then when they start to realize it, it's like sometimes too late.
Yeah.
And then they have guilt, they have shame, and it could be like a ripple effect. Yeah. We've seen that as well with students, but we have to do our job at home as parents. And our schools have to do a better job as well, where our kids spend most of their day. Yeah. At the end of the day, our kids' job is to learn and to be in school and to educate. So if we can get these kids at their day job in school and help fuel them with more emotional intelligence learning and mindset healthy habits, I do think that we can have them shift a little bit to seeing something or watching their response and have it to be more empathetic than self-serving.
Yeah. Another thing that I coach folks oftentimes with the mindset thing is, our thoughts we can control our thoughts, right? Your thoughts are not outside of your control. Even if you are in a dark place, you still have control over your thoughts, whether you allow it or not.
I love that.
And if we can control it, then you can change it. Right. And you can choose to change it. It may be hard to change it. You may have to overcome some limiting beliefs and some other things that are causing you to think something, but you can change your thoughts.
No, I love that. And you really can. I love the whole coaching aspect. I love the impact coaches have on our athletes.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that students could have the opportunity to be involved in something like that. I recently just connected with another organization. A big thing for us this year in the past couple of years is collaboration, with other great organizations doing great things, or they're helping youth. And one is helping youth make sure that they get sports equipment that they need, for maybe underserved, underprivileged children, to get sports equipment that they need so they feel like they're part of their classmates, not left out, isolated, that they can have those opportunities, because you never know their potential.
Yeah.
It could be the next Babe Ruth over there, right?
Yeah,
and
that's
he
right.
can't play baseball because he doesn't have his cleats. He doesn't have the bat, the ball he needs, because his family can't afford it.
Yeah.
Imagine that emotional impact and stress on that family and that young man or woman. Yeah. And then they get that opportunity. Now they're a part of a team. They're not isolated. We've seen the most suicide rates as well too, is with isolation.
Yeah.
If you're not a part of something, you feel like you're nothing.
Yeah.
So anything, why do people go to church, right? Yeah. Why do people go to the Rotary clubs, right? We're a part of something, and it's something bigger than ourselves. And it brought me more joy than I ever imagined, and connections that I thought I've ever would have. So for me, that's my go-to, and it makes me feel good. So I know, if anything, on every Friday at 7:15 a.m., I got my people, right?
Yeah.
Maybe the rest of the week is going to be, I don't even know. But Friday morning, I have my people, and I look forward to that. So if other people have something to look forward to, that's the biggest thing. That right there, that's hope. That's giving them another tomorrow. Yeah. So these kids having a sports team, and maybe that's not, maybe music theater is their thing. It's a club at the school. Yeah. It's something.
Yeah. But I'm so glad we're having this conversation, because there are so many, I think, long-lasting effects from what happened with COVID and the isolation that occurred with people with COVID. And people may be like, oh, well, the remote work is fine and all this sort of thing. And okay, yes, maybe some people can work remotely, but when people start working remotely and they never come out of their house,
Right.
that is not necessarily a good thing.
It's not. And what about our elderly population?
Yeah.
That really impacted our elders, where isolation became a, increasing issue as far as even mental health decline that we've seen for our elders. There's nursing homes, things like that. And it does span across multiple age groups. It really, really does. And actually, one of the highest amounts too is with older populations. That older adults have that. We've seen it, like we talked about in the workplace, with the workplace stress and things like that. Our elders as well. And there's, at the end of the day, I think the bottom line is that making mental health a priority as far as our health.
Yeah.
It's not just a physical concern.
Yeah.
When people think, oh, I got to go to my blood pressure check, I have my annual checkup. Mental health is a daily check-in.
Yeah.
And every day there's so many things we can be doing, from natural sources and remedies to talking to someone.
Well, yeah, and we're going to get to some natural remedies and all that you're doing here in a second. Before we move on, because this is a topic that touches everybody at one level, whether you are in this dark place right now, or somebody who's in this dark place right now, somebody who is in this industry, and and mostly we're talking to other business owners who are struggling with it. What are some things that you would say, one, to that person who's in the dark place, or that person that because the person who knows someone in the dark place, sometimes that's the hardest thing.
It is,
because you want to help them, but they won't listen to you.
True. It's very true.
So what are some things that we can do?
Yeah. And I mean, we can probably struggle with that because we get stuck sometimes helping our children or a good friend or a family member that is in a hard place. And sometimes that person that is on the other end that we want to receive and say, oh, I helped them, they may be very resistant, but it's just small touches. Yeah. It's sometimes just being there. Mm-hmm. It's just asking general questions about them, their day, just saying hello. Yeah. Hey, if you need me, I'm here. Sometimes maybe just receiving that text is everything to that person. Yeah. Sometimes we feel like we have to go above and beyond, and we really don't. Mm-hmm. Sometimes just listening. Sometimes people don't want advice. They really don't want advice at that time, but they just know that they have somebody there. Yeah. So it's hard, but as long as you're there, hey, if you need me, I'm here. Yeah. Anything I can do for you? Yeah. Do you want to grab coffee? I don't know, send a $10 random Starbucks gift card, make their day. Small little advancements can go a long way. And then, of course, someone may need something more than that, right? Yeah. And really, hey, I'm here for you. Yeah. I've been there. Yeah. I hear you. Those empathetic words is, I can't imagine what you're going through, but if you need me, I'm here. Yeah. We tell students at school the same thing, those conversations is, you're not supposed to fix the problem. No. But be an ear and let me get you to help so someone can help you with what's going on. The same thing for adults is, we can guide somebody to support, kind of help you talk to someone. Do you want me to go with you to counseling? Like anything to support, those empathetic phrases is, this does seem really heavy, Mike, and let me know what I can do for you. I can't imagine what you're going through right now. And that just gives that person a sense of understanding. Not like, oh, that sucks. Yeah. Wow. Sorry you're going through that today.
Yeah. See you later.
Yeah. Gotta go. Like, no, can't do that. Yeah. Can't do those things. And on the other side too, it's, we have to understand, as far as business owners and things like that, having a little bit more understanding and grace. I saw this really funny meme the other day. It was like, can I call into work today because I'm having a good day? Can I have a good day off? I need a good day. I'm having a good day. I'm not coming into work today because I'm having a good day. Yeah. We want, you want your workplace to be a good day, right? Yeah. And having just that openness. So maybe if there's so many resources out there in the community. I mean, the 988 number is an anonymous call line. Yeah. An emergency, we call 911, right? Mental health crisis, substance abuse. If you need resources or just talk to someone, 988 is huge. If workplaces put out positive messages, more conversations about emotional health support, things like that. Say, we've heard lots of businesses taking this initiative and putting those things out there, and they receive that. They know now they're being supported at work, and they feel like it's a place that they can still connect to, and they don't feel so different.
Well, and if I even put it in a business context, if you are struggling, this is one of those things. If you're struggling with finding people, hiring people, this is a small thing that you could implement in your business place and just have around that creates a culture that, this person, cares about who I am.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it doesn't cost you anything
It doesn't.
to do that.
It doesn't.
But the culture that follows, and people like to be working at places where they feel like it is a culture that supports them.
Exactly.
And it's a
Yeah.
huge hiring thing these days. So for business owners out there, consider the mental health of your employees and your future hires.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't, like we said, and what us at LRJ Foundation like to do is, it doesn't have to be something that's heavy all the time.
Yeah.
It's heavy feelings and topics, but how we uplift people is through positive changes and initiatives and things like that. Make it fun. Maybe you host a fun luncheon sometimes, and you have local places and fresh fruits and vegetables and things like that, and things that are healthy and good for our bodies that can boost our mental health support and things like that. Encourage small breaks if they have a lunch break or 10 minutes break throughout the day to get outside and get some fresh air, take a 5-minute walk. The dopamine does amazing things to boost our adrenaline and get things moving, and people feel alive and more productive. So encourage physical activity, good food and nutrition and things like that. Let's not bring in, nothing against it, but Dunkin' Donuts and have them sitting there in the lunch break and stuff. You want people to be tired. You want people, throwing some apples and different healthy bars.
And so I want to get into the nutrition thing. Real quick though, kind of touched on it. And I would say if it is in your gut that you should text somebody and say, hey, I'm just thinking about you. I don't know why, but just thinking about you today. Send out that text. They aren't going to be upset that you are thinking about them, but it could be huge, and it could be some, God's just putting it on your heart or whatever. But just doing, that's that 1% thing that we can do and make it.
I love that. And even ourselves, if we are going through those moments where, we have stress, right? Normal stress, the situation happens and it passes, right? Yeah. But if we have that constant anxiety about something or something that's weighing us down, and we just keep pushing it off or keep, denying ourselves that something's hard and heavy, we can't put that pause anymore on our mental health. Yeah. So make that reach out. Yeah. Whether it's, let me search up an article on how I can read to take care of my anxiety. Can I call my doctor and make an appointment? Can I finally go maybe talk to that therapist that I wanted to talk to for a while?
Or just 988, like you said.
988.
And they won't, they won't even know who you are.
They will not even know.
But they will direct you and give you the help.
Yeah. And just do that. We know, talking about social media again, there's a lot of great outlets and organizations on social media and good tips and things like that. Make it a daily habit to switch your social media scrolling to maybe finding something that can better what is holding me back. I feel constant anxiety every single day. Let me search ways I can combat my anxiety and implement those once a day. There's so many things we can do. We have to take responsibility for our feelings and emotions. At the end of the day, we could sit here all day. I surely don't know how you're feeling and thinking, Mike, unless you tell me.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I can't guess. No. I can't help you unless you tell me. Yeah. And if you're not willing to do that, I can't fully support you. Yeah. So you have to be willing to do that, or make a promise to yourself that you're going to make this and make resolutions and things like that. Invest in yourself. That's the best investment you can do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially with coaching.
Especially with coaching.
So
for real though. Yes.
So you have been doing the foundation for
14 years.
But just in the last year, 18 months.
2 years, yeah.
2 years now?
2 years, yeah.
2 years. You started another business.
I did.
And it is related because it deals with nutrition and how what we eat and what we put into our bodies actually does affect how we think and how we feel.
100%.
So
100%.
Tell us a little bit about what the name is.
Yes.
All right. I mean, plug yourself here.
So we'll make it easy, right? My name is Teressa Ruspi. Yeah. It's TR. I mean, very creative, right?
Yeah.
TR, Healthy Bites. So my degree growing up in Pennsylvania, like I had mentioned, and going to school was nutrition and dietetics.
Okay.
So I really have just been submerged in my love and passions of health and fitness my entire life.
Yeah.
I wanted to go to school for nutrition and dietetics because I truly was interested when we eat something, how it affects our bodies positively or negatively, and what it does to growth and development and what it does to performance. And I always lean more towards the performance side, being big into fitness and exercise and cheerleading and things like that. So as I'm getting more into my work with my nonprofit the past several years, I found so many linkages to what we eat and how it affects our gut health and our cognitive state. And how important that is. You know, through so many channels that I've been down, it keeps popping up to me and reoccurring. And it's just so evident. Taking care of our gut. People say, if you can do anything, like, oh, I don't know where to start. Maybe I want to lose weight or I want to change my diet. All these things, right? If I share with anybody where to start first, start doing your research, make small changes, it's your gut health. And I say, why your gut health? Like, why don't I just, cut out some carbs or increase my water? Yeah, you can do that too. But start focusing on your gut health because there's such a gut-brain connection that if we start healing our gut, it starts healing our mind. And if we think better and feel better, we're going to start feeling better. So then it starts crossing. And right now, there's probably a lot of wires that are crossed, and we need them to start talking to each other a little bit better. So focusing on our gut health, just really increasing the way that we look at food. And I like to say, think of food as medicine. Maybe one day if you are taking some medicine, you can be off some of those medications because you're actually eating whole food sources that are better for your body in the way it's being processed and supporting all this cellular function, brain activity, let alone endurance and performance for our athletes in sports. But if we want to be productive in what we're doing, we have to be feeling our best, right? And our mind controls so much of that. So we were talking about choices before and choices that we have. We have a choice every day what we put in our mouth and what we eat, right? So and sometimes that takes a lot of discipline and a lot of change of thought and education really to make small changes. And what you do, like we've seen this before, many things, you start to see results. And those results can be addicting. And that's what we want. And my whole mission was creating healthy snacks. I have daughters, athletes as well. So we're on the go a lot, practices for hours, travel cheer competitions, out of town. You're eating out, airport travel, all this stuff. And right
not
there,
even good.
Not even good sometimes. And right there, that's messing up your gut health. It's messing up extra calories and carbs and unhealthy fats that you're eating, processed. And it's toxic. It's toxic to our bodies. And so I've always was in the habit of making healthy snacks, packing them with us. So my car right now, I'm guilty. I have a cooler with healthy snacks out there because I know I'm prepared. That if I get in a situation, if I want a snack before I can get to a healthy lunch, I'm not going to be snacking on, I'm going to pull into a gas station and grab a candy bar or whatever, a slice of pizza from Racetrack. It's just not how I operate because it doesn't make me feel good and it doesn't make me function at my best, whether it's to come and share, the great stories like you with today, to be sharp, to be alert, on top of your game. I want to get a good workout later. I want to be able to have that to be efficient as possible to support my health and my mind health. If I'm not eating right, it's going to weigh me down. It may give me an upset stomach, not feel well. It made me feel tired. So why are we eating things that are not making us feel good?
And I think part of it is, and not to make an excuse, but I think for many people, the Snickers that I ate, when I was in high school is not the same Snickers that is in the marketplace today.
It's not.
Because, the food industry has not been this, they have put in so many other preservatives and all these other things that it's not, when I was a kid, 100 years ago, it was just milk chocolate and caramel and peanuts and that was it. Right.
Exactly.
And, I mean, not that it was good for you, but it at least was.
It's cleaner products.
It was
cleaner
cleaner
ingredients.
products.
Yes, exactly. And we've seen that.
And over the years, the food industry has put all these things into our bodies, and we're all becoming aware of it now because it's a major thing
It
in
is. And I'm
politics. And
excited for that. I'm
yeah,
excited for the change. Unfortunately, went through some bad years and
yeah,
a lot of things added, but I think more people are becoming aware that what they're putting in their body and finding healthier alternatives,
yeah,
is what we need to do for longevity.
yeah, yeah,
To live a healthy life, there's a lot of things we need to focus on. And the foods that are being put out there in front of our face that are mostly convenience foods too and
yeah,
processed,
yeah.
they're not the best for us.
No,
And life is busy.
in
I
fact, they're
understand that.
poison.
They really are. They
You
really
know,
are. And that affects right there. We're getting back to our gut health, affecting our mind. We see with our youth, we have more children with allergies these days than ever
yeah,
before.
yeah,
I mean, growing up as a child, I don't remember one kid in my class that had peanut allergies.
yeah,
Right
yeah,
now, I mean, you hear allergies left and right for all these different
yeah,
things,
yeah,
right? It's very, very common. And
yeah,
we need to get back to whole foods,
yeah.
taking the time to prepare, look for foods, reading the labels.
Mhm.
I'm glad our label is going to be starting to look a little bit better in the
Yeah,
next couple of years. It's needed.
yeah,
Our health is so important and what we consume, we just have to be more aware of and take that time to prepare. It may take a little bit longer to get yourself together for the week, buy certain products, and understand things are a little bit more expensive. Uh, but what can we prioritize?
well, and it's all tied together because when we're eating these things, it puts us in a more depressive state.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
does.
and when you clean your body and you're not doing that, you're thinking clear, you're feeling
Absolutely.
better. Not that it's the panacea and it makes everything all better, but you actually do feel better.
You do. You
And you
really
think
do.
better.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
And that's why for me, creating TR Healthy Bites was a way to create a clean, healthy
yeah,
product. So
yeah,
I make protein cookies, protein muffins, protein energy bites. So one, it's fueling athletes, fueling ourselves, the busy workday,
yeah,
executive, things like that. Afternoon snack, you're crashing, right? Or we chugging energy drinks, we're having some more coffee, we're grabbing whatever
yeah,
prepackaged open snack, looking for that uplift and that
yeah,
energy to get us through the day, and that actually maybe causing us to be more tired and
yeah,
hold us
yeah,
and slack us down and things like
yeah.
that. It's like, no, we have to change those. So for me, I was creating clean products, give
Mhm.
us energy, make
Yeah,
us feel really good, adding protein, gluten-free as well. Whether you're gluten sensitive or not, my products are
yeah,
gluten-free because of the less inflammation.
yeah,
So having other foods that we're eating to be less inflammatory,
yeah,
it helps us to reduce inflammation in our bodies. So if we can choose two snacks throughout the day or a meal that has less inflammation, that's less
mhm,
we're putting in our bodies. Our
yeah,
body's already fighting off
yeah,
inflammation all day, fighting
yeah,
off cold, sickness, disease,
yeah,
whatever it is. If we add more foods that have inflammation to it, we're adding to the problem.
yeah,
So being very conscious of those things as well, to me, was something I wanted people to have a good tasting snack
yeah,
and be like, wow, this actually tastes good and it's actually good for me.
yeah,
And
yeah,
realize too, that supports even portion sizes.
yeah,
So I don't make these massive, 700-calorie cookies.
yeah.
They're normal calorie size.
Yeah,
When we think of a snack size, it's
yeah,
teaching people portion sizes as well, that you can be satisfied and fulfilled
mhm,
with a normal, 1.6-ounce cookie
yeah,
that's got protein, clean ingredients that actually taste like a real dessert.
mhm,
You eat it, you feel satisfied, and you're full.
yeah,
And then it gives us the choice. So we can have a couple more, or do I feel full by that?
yeah,
And have people start to make better choices in their eating habits,
yeah,
their portion sizes, which can help their goals, whatever it is they're trying to do. We do sometimes just make, kind of ridiculous food choices at times because maybe we're super hungry or we're just
mhm,
craving something. Well, if you're craving a lot of sweets and things like that means your body's deficient in some other really important vitamins and minerals.
yeah,
So that's why focusing on your nutrition and health is so important, because if we can support those cravings
mhm,
with other options, you're not going to crave that junk food as much. You're not going to want those sweet beverages as
yeah,
much because your palate starts to change.
yeah,
So really our nutrition is so important, and the choices we make with what we're eating when we go out to eat to make better choices. Restaurants are doing a really good job
they
these
are.
days
They're
too.
getting much better.
Healthier options,
Yeah,
gluten-free options, vegan options if that's people's preference. But we have to be very mindful of this.
yeah,
And sometimes we may have to just limit. not saying don't have the things you enjoy, but just have them in moderation and watch your portion sizes, and you really can start seeing small shifts and kind of down the road. It's just going to help with achieving your goals, whether it's your performance, your athletic performance, your work performance, or you're trying to lose weight or help get rid of high blood pressure, anything.
I can't believe how quickly this time went.
It's fun.
This
is some of my favorite stuff in the world to talk about.
This has been a great conversation. As we wrap up, I'm thinking back to the start of our conversation and being in the treehouse, and you like having that isolation and being in yourself, and how you went to a very public, but I think there was something there in the treehouse where you were in tune to yourself, right? And you understood things that you were dealing, that you now bring into, with the kids that you work with, and that helping them to come out of who they are and to be able to deal with that. And I love kind of how, a little bit of what you're doing now started there in that treehouse.
Yeah, who knew?
So what is the next big thing? What's your dream that you're wanting, that you're chasing?
Yeah, I mean, definitely trying to narrow that down, right? I just definitely have a few on the list, but honestly, two of my biggest dreams really right now is to take LRJ Foundation into more schools, so we get to reach more kids and help them live a better life, physically and mentally. And then with TR Healthy Bites, is really connect with more retail places and people to know that if they're looking for a healthier option, it's available, that they don't have to not have a cookie if that's what they're looking for, but they can have a healthier option. So they can still feel satisfied but not guilty. And really just give people more an overall well-being support on both ends, mental, physical, and nutrition support.
Well, that's awesome.
Thank you.
So
thank you.
Thank you for being with me. I
Thanks
appreciate
for having
it.
me.
Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely. A little bit chilly. I hope
that's good. I like it.
Yeah, brisk.
Yeah.
But if you want to get in touch with Teressa, either for LRJ or with TR Healthy Bites, we will have her contact information in the comments and all down here, and you can find her. Or I'm sure there's a website out there that's trhealthybites.com.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Imagine
that.
So definitely look her up and do that. Appreciate everybody watching today. And next week we will be back at this time. Have a special guest that we're talking about for next week. And so it's for many of us, it'll be Good Friday. But looking forward to talking to you all then. Until then, I am Mike Connor, business coach here in North Georgia, with Teressa